Hello everyone, I'm Deepthi Nair from Your Story, and we are all set for a session with the leadership team from Chirate Ventures. Chirate Ventures has been exploring uncharted terrains since 2006. Formerly known as IDG Ventures, they are India's leading technology venture capital fund advisor with approximately 800 million assets under management that has backed some of the biggest technology startups in India such as Bounce, CureFit, FirstCry, Flipkart, Lenskart, Manthan, Myntra, and Policy Bazaar, among others. Over the years, Chirate Ventures has made over 50 seed investments, including in companies such as CloudCherry, DeepFence, Early Salary, HealthPlix, Kevo Data, Crystal.ai, Nestaway, Onco.com, PlaySimple, Rent2Mojo, Unboxed, and Unifor, which collectively have raised about $500 million in capital. This year, as startups have been on a roller coaster ride, Chirate's aim is to bridge the gap between industry stalwarts and emerging businesses by bringing the ecosystem together during this unprecedented time. To give us a bigger picture from the Chirate team, we have with us partners including the founders Sudhir Sethi and TCM Sundaram, as well as Karthik Prabhakar, Karan Mola, Venkatesh Petty, and Ranjit Menon. A warm welcome to all of you. Welcome, Sudhir. This year has been a complex and unusual one in many ways. How have you supported your portfolio companies and helped them get back on track?
Well, thank you, Dipti, for inviting me here. Let me just share with you a little bit of background. I think the context will be set. We at Chirate have invested in 90 companies so far, exited 35, backed 4 unicorns and 2 IPOs in the making, already done. Of our active 55 plus companies, in the month of March, the aggregate revenue of our companies was $1 billion, 7,000 crores. And in April, it went crashing down to 65%, 35%. Today, they're back to $1 billion, and half our companies are growing faster than pre-COVID levels today. This is amazing. And the big reason is that the maturity, quality, and agility shown by our entrepreneurs was absolutely brilliant. However, our support to portfolio continues to be multifold. We clearly, first and foremost, position ourselves as mentors, advisors, and very trusted partners. The success of our company and entrepreneurs is our success. It's very important that that be noted. Second, strategy, execution, hiring, scaling for success, building Indian brands which are not existing today, enabling technology as a key differentiator is very critical in the game plan for supporting our companies. In the past 6 months, we have shoulder to shoulder worked intensely, enabling founding teams to look at the digital, online, and global opportunity which India presents today. Half our companies today have a global footprint in 40 countries. And that's important to understand because India gives scale. And if an entrepreneur is solving a problem in India using technology, that can be anywhere in the world. And that's what our thesis has been. So effectively, India gives scale and outside India gives super scale. So supporting portfolio in terms of managing costs and then focusing on growth immediately has been a very, very important part of our strategy. There are 2 ways to look at the last 6 months. Oh my God, what happened? The other is, okay, we understand what happened. Let's get on with life and let's focus on how we can grow. And I think India provides that tailwind, which perhaps many other countries do not provide. We also realized that employees had been under stress. The employees of our portfolio companies have been under stress. So to take care of that, we started the Chirate Thrive Fund, where over 3,000 employees, gig workers, have been given grants to pass through the months where they did not get salaries fully or partially. I think India today offers enormous opportunity, and we at Chirate are there to provide A, risk capital, B, expansion capital, and C, a trusted support in terms of experience, which we have built over the last 14 years in helping entrepreneurs grow from India. That's fundamentally our strategy.
Welcome, TCM. What are the 3 main criteria Chirate Ventures considers when investing in an early stage startup and why?
Typically, if you look at it, we look for a very large market opportunity to generate a venture type of return. The other one is team And team is very important in terms of complementarity between tech, marketing, and also general management capabilities to be able to scale. The third one, which many people do not necessarily focus on, is in terms of the sustainable, defendable moat. Most of them say we are differentiated and then we want to start and we will figure it out. And that is possibly one of the important things that differentiates a startup that could be successful versus a startup that will be an also run. And when the crunch comes.
And what are some of the blind spots that that you notice in entrepreneurs that they are not aware of?
One of the common blind spots that I notice is lack of awareness or an unwillingness to accept that competition exists. This actually means a lot to us. One is that means you don't know which profit pool you are operating in, and who are you trying to replace? Because it's not always that you are doing completely something new, right? You are playing into some trend where an existing player is there, maybe a traditional company is there, and you are trying to enter. Or there are somebody in a value chain, you enter and replace some other way in which something is done. At that point in time, you are playing into that profit pool. And lack of awareness gives me a feeling saying that, look, I think, do they know when competition comes then? Because it's not only that you are replacing somebody and there are others who are competing like you, and there may be somebody who will come behind you and will want to replace you. This is the biggest blind side I look for. And I spend a lot of time questioning entrepreneurs on competition. Not because we do not know, it's more because we want to understand their awareness about it.
Welcome, Karthik. How do you work with companies in which you invest in, specifically in the Innovators Program? Do you engage with them post-investment? And what's the support they get beyond the cohort?
So to answer that question very briefly, the answer is a big yes. We do work with them extensively. And once we make the investment, especially in the Innovators Program, the idea is to invest in these companies very, very early. So there are 4 or 5 buckets in which we typically engage. The first bucket is where companies are very early, where the product market fit is still not there. So there, our work extensively involves in getting to the minimum viable product, fast iterations to actually get that product market fit, which is fundamental to get to the next phase. In many cases, the product market fit exists. So in those cases, there are largely 4 buckets on which we operate. One is in building the team. So in just identifying what is that capacity building that needs to be there in the team in the very early days beyond the founders. The second part is a very basic cliched thing, but very critical as the company scales up, which is financial discipline and putting systems in place for MIS, for internal dashboards and everything so that over a period of time, it gets automated and that never becomes a roadblock for a successful company. And the related third part is on compliance. Having these things very early at the seed stage makes a huge difference as the companies become successful. And the last part, which is also very important, is capital planning. While these Innovators Program companies raise small amounts of money, it's very important to use that to first get to a product market fit. And second, get to a phase where you are, in most cases, they're not profitable, where you're actually able to raise more capital. So planning that capital and utilizing the cash to ensure that you get to that stage where the probability of raising the next follow-on round is increasing is a very critical element. So our seed bucket focuses on more on that. So overall, I think the engagement is very high. And typically the first 3 months post the investment is where we try to spend a lot of time. And beyond that, it really starts coming down to monthly engagements and on demand as the company looks to raise more capital.
Welcome, Karan. Tell us about the Innovators Program. It's the 7th edition now. What was the drive behind launching such a program and why early stage startups?
Thanks, Deepti. Thanks for having me. So we've been running this program for some years. This is the 7th edition, as you said. We have largely focused on early stage startups, even in previous editions. And for us, the focus has really been on technology companies. I think this time we really wanted to take it a step further and build a program that would create a platform which we could then build on for the coming years. So that would include active mentorship over a 5-week period where we work very closely with the shortlisted set of startups across the 5 sectors that we focus on. And really try and help a lot of these founders and startups on areas like team building, product, tech, market expansion, fundraising, and some of the finer aspects of sort of company building, and then take them from a to an accelerated capital decision making process whereby we would look to invest in some of these startups. We don't have a goal in terms of or a target in terms of these many startups, but traditionally we've been very active in terms of investing in startups from the program. But the goal is to have something which builds and lasts beyond the scope of this program, and something which founders are able to take back as they are looking to build their companies, which would really involve talking to members of our investment team, talking to our portfolio founders, talking to experts that we're able to bring in from our networks, and really giving a well-rounded experience to founders who are part of this program for us. I think a core reason for doing this is because I think there are lots of programs in the market, but this really allows us to create an ongoing bridge with the founder network, and helps us partner and gives founders the ability to work with us for a period of time. And that's something which we want to obviously continue building on.
Welcome, Venkatesh. Tell us, talk us through the 5 sectors that you're planning to invest in: consumer tech, software, SaaS, fintech, health tech, and deep tech.
Sure, Deepti. Like you rightly mentioned, as a fund, we've always been focused around 5 core pillars in terms of sectors, which includes consumer tech, SaaS companies, fintech, health tech, and deep tech. We recently added deep tech. It entails companies which are on the nanotechnology side, AR, VR, essentially companies which are looking at deeper tech-oriented opportunities. Right? Even from this program, we continue to remain focused on these opportunities across these segments. However, this program is also happening on the back of a huge pandemic that the world has seen, right? And what that also means is that there are more and more disruptive opportunities that we feel can be identified as the world is getting reset to a new avatar, right? Like, for example, in the consumer, on the education technology side, of course, we're all seeing a tailwind of how fast the teachers and the students are adopting technology. Now, it will find a new normal as the pandemic settles down. It will find a new normal and throw up disruptive opportunities across these 5 pillars. So essentially, we're looking at sort of new age for the new world, companies which are looking at disruptive opportunities in all these sectors, including the consumer, SaaS, fintech, health tech, and deep tech.
Welcome, Ranjit. As a firm, how active have you been over the last 12 months, and what's the deal flow like? Could you also share more, some interesting investments that you have made this year?
Sure. Over the last 12 months, we've been very, very active. I think we've closed, about 13 transactions or so in the last 12 months. A few of them have been announced, a few of them not announced, and there are a few more in the pipeline. So very, very active from that perspective. Obviously, March, April, and May was a little bit slow for us, given that we are more focused on the portfolio with stress testing business plans and looking at cash flows and runways and so on and so forth, given the lockdown situation on the ground. But I think if you look at right now, I think the deal flow is really very, very healthy, almost at the pre-COVID levels. Very high amount of activity across seed and early stage. Now, the interesting thing here is that I think we are also going through a learning curve with respect to our own process with diligence, talking to entrepreneurs, given the travel restrictions, in-person meetings not being possible. So there is a learning curve that I think both of us, we as investors and the founders are, going through. And so it will be interesting experience in the next 6 to 12 months or so, how we will operate in this new environment. But in terms of deal flow activity, I think it's very high, and we are very actively pursuing and looking at new opportunities.
So any particular interesting investments that you've made this year that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. One of the recent ones that we announced was a company called Aether Biomedical. Now, this is an interesting company which is putting together, human kinematics and artificial intelligence to put together a solution that mimics a human hand. Now, there are about 10 million people across the world who have lost their upper limb, amputees, because of accidents, war, and so on and so forth. Right. So, and there are about 1 million people that are added to this list every year. India alone contributes, I think, 30,000 people to this list every year. So it's a very real problem. This company is putting together an interesting solution combining, robotics, material science, and software, obviously, to kind of develop a multi-action bionic arm. Now, why we think this is interesting, it's because obviously, like I said, huge populations across the world require the solution, but it is also interesting given that this is a new, breed of companies that are emerging out of India, which is, putting together solutions combining hardware and software. In India, we've always seen software companies, product companies that have been emerging, but here is a product company that's combining hardware and software, which is a new emerging, deep tech kind of a set of companies that we are seeing emerging of the company, and which we are very, very excited about. Of course, this, in terms of performance on the ground, in terms of global standards that is required, it's meeting all of those while still making sure that the cost is almost 1/4 of what is available in the market today. So I think very, very excited about the prospects of this product and the technology. And also given the fact that it creates tremendous impact on the ground, because for the end customer or the consumer of this, his quality of life significantly improves, given that now there is something that he can, fix onto his hand and use his hand as he would have normally used otherwise. So I think there is also an impact on the ground, something that we are very, very excited about.
Interesting. We look forward to, knowing more about this startup. Thank you all for that informative discussion and taking the time to share these valuable insights with our audience. To all the early stage and seed stage startups out there, the 7th edition of Chirate Ventures Innovators Program is on. If you're solving real-world problems by leveraging technology in consumer tech, software, SaaS, fintech, health tech, deep tech, go ahead and apply before October 20th.